For the period I was on a retreat, I think I have to tell you people about that. I've seen many things happen on social media that are quite questionable, like some of the things we are going to be discussing about today. Now, before we get to continue with what I promised us we'll be looking at based on TV Joshua's documentary, I thought to break in with this and to tell you that I'm officially back. For those in the Telegram group, I told you guys why I had to come back for a few days, what I noticed recently on social media. So I'm following this particular Twitter account, and this video was posted. Take a close look at it.
Merci beaucoup, mon gars. Allahu Akbar. Merci, mon père.
I'm just looking at the video itself as it ended, and then they put there the cross and then Islam and saying love. But if you notice carefully, the person that was making the video is a Muslim. Came with this person that came to pull this stunt. If there was a reaction from, let's say, the aged you saw there who were being part of the mass celebration, probably there are people that are going to also stand to fight. Doesn't this tell you that Islam itself is just a religion of, provocation and all that? Because they indeed came to provoke and see what would happen. This is what a Muslim had to say about this.
I hear lots of Muslim perform salat in churches. Please explain if this is allowed in Islam to do that if no mosque around in the area. If the people of the church allow Muslims to pray inside the church, and this is a big and, capital A-N-D, underlined with 2 lines, highlighted, italic, bold, and change the font as well, and the color. And there are no crosses in the church. There are no idols, statues, then yes, prayer there is permissible. Otherwise, nope, you should not pray there.
Now, you might be wondering, so George, why are you sharing this video? You see, when it comes to religious tolerance, sometimes I try to wonder, because when I looked at this video, I tried to imagine what is happening in Nigeria, over there in the north in Plateau State. And just in case you don't know, from my observation and what I've been seeing posted on social media recently, it's nothing more than religious extremism that is happening there. Yes, of course, there are also other ideas with respect to minerals and all that, but going as far as like destroying churches and all that, I think that is something very intentional. Now again, you would say, as a Christian, what should you do? I now get to relate this with what is happening right now with Israel and Hamas, and I wonder to myself, even though you would say, what would Jesus do? If you look at the way Israel are taking this heads on with Hamas, it's actually very, very interesting, and they're not even letting anything lie low. What am I trying to make you understand here? For a Muslim man to intentionally, I had to look up on the person. Obviously, the person is actually quote-unquote a content creator. That happened in Quebec, over there in Canada. For him to go to, at least anyway, he didn't climb the altar, but he had to go to the front of the church to say his prayers. Now, I know, of course, when Muslims want to pray, they look at a particular direction, they feel like, okay, this direction is where, they have to pray. But going to the front of the church, where you could see people there visibly, that was very intentional, you see? And that is how provocations also do happen. Now, you dare not You won't walk into a mosque as a Christian to go pray there in this particular matter. Before you even get out, I guess your head will be chopped off. What does that tell you about Christianity? Yes, of course, it's a religion of peace. To a great extent, that's seeing Christianity as a religion contextually by dichotomizing one religion to the other. But that itself there, it's very, very uncalled for. It is not acceptable and shouldn't be acceptable. But again, people who are watching from a distance, who are not quote and unquote Catholics, who say, oh, even Catholics themselves, are they even Christians? That is what they will say, I guess. But you see, each time over the years I've been discussing all these divisions that get to happen in the body of Christ. While there is division between Catholicism and Protestants who call themselves the Christians, even among the Protestants or the Pentecostals, they also have situations. And just like we have been discussing about things very popular in the Pentecostal circle. Now, for me to put this in context, listen to what this reverend had to say with respect to ministers.
Fellowships don't leave you the same. Don't enter into fellowships of demons. One man of God asked me a question. He said, what do I do in this kind of a situation? He's a man I respect, but he asked me questions. I'm invited to come and preach somewhere, and I found out that the person that invited me has also invited an occultic man. So what do? I said, sir, if I were the person, I won't go, and I'll cut off from that man. Because if he's inviting an occultic person, he's also involved in something wrong somewhere. So he shouldn't be involved. And I found out that it's important for me, for example, to check if somebody invited me to preach for him, I want to ask, who else are you inviting? Because you can always know a man by the friends that they keep, the fellowships that they keep. You can't be okay and be okay in a bad fellowship. Is that okay?
And I think that was quite explanatory, even though it was a long. I had to take time to watch the entire series myself after I saw this video. Quite impactful. And to a great extent, you should understand something here. You may not know if this minister is occultic, if this minister is occultic. They exist. This is not fallacy. It's not 𝐻𝐵 The ministers themselves, the pastors themselves know, because of course you yourself as a Christian knows that or believes that your pastor's spiritual antenna is on a higher degree than yours, so they know. You know, some of your pastors tell you categorically, this minister is this minister is this. Just like we have been looking at the person of TB Joshua, pastors have come out and said that he's an occultic person, he's this. And you can see also a camp that defends him to be a true man of God. They exist. But even that yourself should make you know categorically, based on where the defense is coming from and the offense is coming from, the kind of man of God you have as well. It becomes questionable on your person as well, because some way, somehow it drops off. Those people that are questionable themselves gets their validation by the association with you. I don't care what you think about this, what I'm saying here, but to a great extent, it makes sense. When I'm talking, it's as if I'm just speaking fallacy. When you hear pastors talking about this, it's like, Last time, I think it was Apostle Aramosai that was talking about this whole idea of him being invited to preach here, and then he has to ask God for God to give him that direction. It may not be the same for like quote and unquote music ministers and all that, but to a great extent, we ourselves as Christians, we have to be very vigilant. I would always say myself, yes, we can always say know God for yourself, but it's important for you to have a community, for you to have a church you go to, or where you have that, iron sharpeneth iron. But again, you also have to know that even in communities, even in centers whereby you might, a pastor might be probably quote and unquote occultic or something, is there a possibility that there might be genuine Christians in those circles? That is where what I always emphasize a whole lot comes in, where you get to build a personal relationship with God yourself. I think it's most important than anything. You see, for the period I was on a retreat, I think I have to tell you people about that. My routine had just been, if you follow me on Instagram, you see some of my stories. I go to the gym, I go to work like every normal person. I'm more of like on a fasted life. So even as that as well, I'm also doing some detox and cleansing myself in the process, but being more intentional about what is God directed me to do this year when it comes to issues I get to look at. And something kept pointing me to the last video I did. I don't know if you guys watched the last video I did on my backup channel, BRG Analysis, where I was talking deeply about the concept of witchcraft, and then using the Bible itself to explain it. Now, growing up as a seminarian, one thing I learned back then was ability to pay attention to details. So, I just had that, I wouldn't say God told me, because for me, if I don't, yes, of course, you could have that unction in your spirit as well to do this or that leading to do this. And I'm more like, you know what, this year, probably, I think we might lower the tone probably on all of these analyses, because many things have come out recently. Bishop Feyi Daniels, I've seen the whole 𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸𝐻 and then an OCK issue going up and down, and I'm like, what is going on? These people, there's always this back and forth and all that. But probably, at least, I should be able to, the same way I get to analyze, because I do that a lot. You see, the same way I get to analyze people's statements, issues here and there, bring out the facts, look at it critically, that's the same way as well I get to read the Bible. And I think probably the things I've been writing from my own personal Bible studies, probably I should start sharing, not as your pastor, because over here, of course, we can have discussions. I don't share things and be like, this is yeah and amen. That's not my kind of person. No, I think we can always have discussions about situations, and then, you know, healthy discussions, and probably no one's pastor gets to be dragged on that regard. But of course, we have a lot of things to discuss as well that I think, if I don't see an input of someone making in that particular regard, I would also get to make that input. So that is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.